G'day, Normie.
How are you, Heston? Well done. That up, didn't you? Start again.
Hey, Normie.
Clap.
G'day, Normie.
How are you, Hes?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good.
Yes.
Tell me about the Veterans Games.
Veteran Games came from that original conversation with you nearly 2 years ago now, when the government announced we're going to withdraw out of Afghanistan, and you, with your mates, obviously were responsible for helping to organise the Welcome Home Parade for the Vietnam veterans.
So what were you going to do?
So we want to do something very similar, but trying to bring it into something that would have people turn up, compete, put their skills to the test, because, you know, we do a lot of talking. And there's lots
Coming
of tribes.
together is the important part.
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
It? Really, it's the thing is that I don't know what you went through.
Yep.
Your family don't know what you can talk all you like with your family, but the only people who understand intricate moments
Yeah.
that you experience are the people who are with you.
Yeah, your mates.
And this is what I've found, my long experience now with all of this. It's at the end of a day, like I had yesterday with two of my friends,
Yeah.
I feel so relieved.
Yeah.
Even now at 40 years later, you know.
Well, it's just I think it's a few things. It forces you to be authentic, as you know you can't bullshit your mates.
Yep.
And it keeps you accountable as well, you know. It's one thing to sit back there and reminisce on what was, but we've got to focus on what is here and now, and I don't think there's
Believe
enough.
me,
Yeah.
in 30 years' time, when
Yeah.
you're my age,
How old are you?
I'm not saying,
Well played. Yeah.
you'll understand when you get there, because
Yeah.
you'll be saying to yourself, yes, now the older I get, the better I was.
Yeah. I don't want to do that. I want to give a platform where people can come and show that they've still got some of that. And again, as you were saying before, showing that to the public, because there's a lot of assumptions, there's a lot of people talking about us, there's a lot of people, you know, looking at veterans like me, one, don't even know we're a veteran, or two, look at us with sympathetic or sad eyes, or you got PTSD or whatever. It's like, sure, we've all got our own issues, but we're good to go.
Sure.
99% of the time, we're
And
ready and able.
99% of the time, you don't present with those things.
Yeah.
And when a stressful situation occurs in your life,
Yeah.
as long as you've got the strategies to deal with it,
Yeah.
and I had one recently,
Yep.
and I was struggling.
Yeah.
I honestly was struggling at the beginning of this year, and I said, no, this is crazy. I've got to take my own advice. So
Yep.
I got in touch with Open Arms.
Yep.
They put me in touch with a psychologist, a
Yeah.
counsellor. We had a chat, and I came out of there thinking, why does all this stuff that I already know,
Yeah.
why doesn't it present itself and I can deal with it?
Yeah.
But it's basically because you get clouded.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I walked away and I started all of a sudden to be able to deal with the event that caused that post trauma.
Yeah, that
So,
triggering event.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And part of this, mate, even that conversation, thanks for sharing that with me, is, you know, helping to break down these stigmas on mental health.
Well, it's really important, you know.
Well, I see my psychologist once every 2 weeks. We're trying to break this terminology. Everyone says mental health. It's mental fitness. You've got to proactively, like you get a trainer, you go to the gym to help keep you healthy. You've got to do the same for your mental health, don't you?
Yeah, if you can admit to yourself that you need some help,
Yeah.
then you can go looking for it, and it's available.
Yeah. And do that for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Not just sit back and wait for others to come help you.
But it's also doing it for your own micro community, your family and your friends and all that sort of thing, because they see what you're going through.
Yeah.
They see that this is, whatever this is causing you stress and grief, whatever.
Yeah.
And they can see it, but they can't fix it because you need professional help.
So a big
The
part
good thing
for
about the Vets Games is that you're going to be bringing a whole lot of people together, and they're going to be talking.
Yeah.
And as long as you realise that this is also an opportunity for them to maybe hook up with some information situations if they haven't, you know, especially the young people who have had their hands held, if you like, through their military service, and all of a sudden they're cast out into the GP and not really understand what's available to them.
Well,
that's a big thing.
That's been a big part for me, and I'm keen to get your reflections from what you guys did with the Welcome Home Parade, because so much of my ongoing sort of proactive mental fitness piece is actually connecting with my veteran community and people who know me, and why days like Anzac Day are so great, because you get to connect with that community, that there's that common understanding.
Yeah.
And again, you can't hide, you can't, you bluff. There'll be a bit of chest poking that goes on Anzac Day. I love that. But getting people around each other where they feel comfortable having those potentially vulnerable conversations without even knowing them, once a few beers are downrange.
Just remembering, there I was up to my neck and mucking bullets.
Yeah.
And see this
war hats on.
Scorched part on the letter, Mum. That's a trace round just going across in front.
We had emails in my day, mate.
Oh, yeah. you probably have even phone calls.
Yeah.
God.
Every now and then.
You had to send up smoke signals, It was crazy.
Oh,
but getting back to this idea of connection, and you won't ever be anything other than ex-military.
Yeah.
You'll always be ex-military.
Well, part of you.
But I still meet people, and they've never been to an Anzac Day march, or they've never seen any of their mates. And I put it to them this way: one of the most important things in Australian military, right back to the Boer War, and if you like, to the understanding that Sir John Monash had in the First World War, that Australians were very different, had a very different complex emotional makeup from veterans from other, or the military from other countries. And we have to be treated that way, because we have this egalitarian state that everybody wishes they had.
Yeah.
And
which is a good thing.
His idea was that we all connect, and if we can stay connected, we're going to be so much better off.
No, I'm with you. And that's what you said, that identity part. One thing I really look forward to with the Veteran Games is absolutely celebrating that military identity that connects us all. That's all part of us. Everyone's been trained to do the events that we're going to have at the Veteran Games.
Yep.
But also having veterans bring some of their new identities, particularly forming a team. There's organisations, businesses out there that have
you've got to
veterans.
understand that veterans doesn't mean just young veterans.
No,
you've got to have a wheelchair race,
mate,
or a Zimmer frame, or something that I can do.
This is the exciting
part. I'm not going
part.
to be in a tug of war beating you young bastards.
This is the fun part. As long as you can compete as a team, like it's not individual competitors, it's competing as a team. We can all put together our strengths to help the team push through.
Yeah.
Mate, we can carry your Zimmer frame, put you on someone's shoulders, Sam will help you push through.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't even have one, as a matter of fact.
No, I don't.
But if it would be okay with you,
absolutely,
I can
absolutely.
Okay.
But I want veteran organisations, veteran companies, veteran businesses out there to put together their own team of veterans.
I'd like to be the coach for the anchor man.
Is it the guy who sits at the back of the...
He's the guy who sits back like that.
Yeah.
And I'll always say, eat more food. Eat more food. Get bigger and fatter.
So, however, with the Veteran Games, people have to compete in every activity.
Oh.
The risk is one big team turning up to the tug of war, and then they don't want to do anything else. Nah, you got to get that anchor man over the obstacle course as well. So hey, there's some tactics at play, and that's the fun part. It'll be an aggregate score from all the events.
Where is the obstacle course going to be?
That's a surprise. We're going to let that know in a few months' time.
We're not taking them out to Kanungra again, because I'm not going.
No. There'll be no lantana and jungle training in this one. So Normie, I want to go back to the Welcome Home Parade that you and your team were instrumental in delivering, and particularly how important that was for shifting the culture within your own veteran community and the Australian public, because as you know, my grandfather was in the Vietnam War, and just before he died, he actually said to me, don't let them treat your lads the way they treated mine when we got back. And you were really a key part of shifting that. And I want to know more about how cathartic, therapeutic, supportive and transformational that Welcome Home Parade was for your guys.
Well, I like to think of it as more than just a single thing. First of all, the catalyst for any change, the catalyst was the song I Was Only 19 by John Schumann.
Yep.
Because it brought to the sensibilities of the general public what could very easily have just never been recognised.
Yeah, wow.
And then a half a dozen Vietnam veterans heard about the Vietnam Welcome Home Parade in Chicago in the United States,
Okay.
and decided to raise the money, and they got it through Ray Martin and the Midday Show, to fly across and take part.
Yep.
They said it was the most amazing thing, and when they came back to Australia, they said we have to have one of those. Okay. So there was a general meeting where expressions of interest came, and there was about 300 people turn up for it, I being one of them, and it was sort of, it was like all of a sudden there was an urgency for this to happen.
Yep.
You know. Now those 300 people sort of whittled down a bit, and I suppose they went out to their suburban areas and all that sort of thing. Became it was sort of like an octopus.
Yeah.
You know, all the arms, the network came out, and because we'd been in the military, we understood all the networks and the chains of command.
Yeah.
So it was sort of not too hard to put it all together.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
The interesting thing is that the chairman of the committee had only raised himself during the military to a level of sergeant.
Yep.
And he had, until his retirement, been a sergeant of police. So,
yep.
you know, he was what we call a baggy ass, pretty much, right? So Peter Poltman, a beautiful man, fantastic man. And we were sitting there one day, and I said, how do you reckon it's all going? And he said, well, we started off with 300. We got 8 now, or 11, or whatever it was. Yeah. And I said, all right. And what's your experience? He said, well, committee, the best committee to be on is a committee of 2 with 1 on holidays.
Oh dear.
But you know, it took a while from these 6 guys coming back from the United States with this idea for it just to permeate through the Vietnam Veterans Society. And then, so as we got closer, there were different things that happened. For instance, Graham Edwards from Seven Ra, he from his wheelchair position became a minister for police and sports and recreation in Western Australia.
Yeah.
And I was over there doing some shows in Perth, and he said, can you come to a meeting, because I'm not getting any traction for the Welcome Home Parade. Yeah. So I went in, and they said they wouldn't give us a welcome home when we came back. Why should we go now?
Yeah, wow.
And I understood it. Yeah. And I said, well, because the Magic Day are non-existent. Yeah. They're absent. They've got nothing to do with it. The highest ranking member of this committee is a sergeant. Yeah. And the rest of us are pretty much baggy asses, you know. So the one thing we did learn, and this is one of the things that, you know, like I talked about John Monash before, one of the things he instilled in the Australian AIF, first AIF, was their reliance on their mates. Yeah. You know, on each other. Not level. The people up there, not the people down there, but on each other. Yeah. And you, it was, you're never a Jack man. Yeah. Right? I'm with you. Damn you, Jack, I'm all right. And I cleaned that up for you.
Thank you.
So I said, look, you know, at this Welcome Home Parade, there's going to be somebody, even if they come from a local community in Sydney, they're going to be looking for you. Yeah. Are you going to be a Jack man? Oh, it was horrible. Yeah. Are you going to be a Jack man and let that guy down? Yeah. Right? You know, Western Australia had more veterans pro rata for its the size of the population in WA than any other part of Australia but for Sydney, because Sydney was a no-brainer. Yeah. You know, so getting people to go to the Welcome Home Parade, that was going to be a very big thing. Yeah. When it happened, though, Peter and I were walking up past the Mitchell Library in Sydney, where the Welcome Home Parade was being held. Yeah. And I turned to Peter and I said, suppose we gave a welcome home and no one came. Yeah. Which is play on words for the John Lennon movie. Okay. Suppose they gave a war and nobody turned up. So he said, well, we can't do anything. And he said, as far as I'm concerned, the thing that happened on the radio 2 days before, it was on, I think it was on Alan Jones' program. And we just visited Alan, and we were talking to the station manager of 2UE, who became a big sponsor. And we were just chatting with him, and we overheard Alan take a phone call. And it was this lady. She said, "I'd like to thank the organisers of the Welcome Home Parade, because last night something really important happened in my life. My father came home from Vietnam, and the next day he left, and we hadn't seen him since."
Oh wow!
And so we always wondered what happened to him.
Yeah.
And last night there was a knock on the door, and it was my dad.
Oh wow!
Mum had passed away, but we had our father back.
Yeah, wow.
And thank you very much. And it was the Welcome Home Parade that drew that bloke out of his years, 20 years of being, just being out of his personal community, and brought him back in.
Yeah,
and it happened a couple of times during that period. There were other anecdotes I can relate to you, but see, that's why the Veterans Games are going to be really important. Not who wins and not being able to be better than the other guy or anything, but who do you connect with?
Yep.
Are you going to be a Jack man? Are you going to stay away? Or a Jack girl? I don't.
Yeah, you're good.
Because you know, I mean, you guys, younger people, had a lot more women on the front line than we had. We didn't have anybody.
Yeah. No, different time.
We had to kiss each other, and you got no idea how ugly some of the guys I served were.
I could imagine. But you really raise an important part, Normie, and we spent a lot of time trying to get the top-down political support for this, but it's the grassroots ground level where it needs to be focused, because also that's where I think a lot of people stay away from this sort of stuff if they do see too much top-heavy, too much brass. And the best part about us putting this together is I think we've sort of ruffled a few feathers up the chain, trying to hold them accountable. But this is where it's at, and the more guys and girls we get together to show that and to form those networks that are going to be there after the games and into next year, that's our focus.
I'll give you a little anecdote. So we had our general meeting. We had a general meeting once every 4 weeks or so to see how we were going. And a letter had been sent to the Prime Minister of the day to invite him to be at the, and a lot of the guys said, "Why would you invite him?" I said, "Well, because he was the Prime Minister of the day, apolitical. We don't want to be political about it." The letter came back from his office saying, "Sorry, the Prime Minister will be unavailable. He doesn't think that this is a worthy cause." So,
wow,
there were a whole lot of people. You served with some pretty, obviously, some pretty assertive people. And they were of the similar ilk. Like, these are Vale. And we had a riot on our hands in the office at Congress Hall in Anzac House.
I can imagine.
And I jumped up on these beautifully French polished tables and I went, "Hey, the last thing we need to do is to bend to the will of these. Do you understand where the pyramid is?" I said, "The pyramid, we've got to make the pyramid upside down. We've got to put them at the bottom and us at the top." So
keep that focus on the people.
3 days before the Welcome Home, we'd planned who was going to be on the saluting dais, and it was going to be the Governor General and the State Premier. And 3 days before, Mr. Such and Such will, and this is in 1987, so you can look it up for yourself, has been able to clear his deck and will be able to attend the Welcome Home.
Lovely.
By this, the Welcome Home was a fait accompli, and it was going to be a big thing. But it was way bigger than I ever expected.
Power of the people. You focus on our community and our people, others will come. And that's what we got to put our effort and energy into, is that community aspect.
I'll tell you a really nice thing. Sir Eric Neal was the head of Boral, which was extended from a company called Monia, which is a a company that was set up by Sir John Monash.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Something I didn't realise.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were at a fundraising thing for the captains of industry, and we had some really big profile, including Neville Rand, and we were looking for the sort of
Sponsorships, donations. Yeah.
And so Eric Neal said, look, and I was sitting next to him, and he said, look, I can't speak for my board, so I'll go back to the board and I'll ask to, right? However, take this. He took his checkbook out and he wrote a check for $5,000 on his personal checkbook and handed it to me for me to give to Pete Polton.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, you know,
that's a lot of money back then too, isn't it?
All it needed, 1987.
Yeah.
But all it needed really was for people to explain what it was.
Yeah.
And people like yourself and your other cohort who are involved in pulling the games together, you know, for this very same reason.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really important thing within your generation.
You're right.
And we'll be so glad because with your energy, you're taking up the cudgels that we started with, and we started behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. And you're right, it's that octopus, as you say, that network approach. So we've got to push it out and decentralise and get the guerrilla warfare out there, don't we?
And bear in mind that you are also the bottom of the pyramid.
Absolutely.
Turn the pyramid upside down and allow the local communities to do their thing and bring it back into a central place where perhaps you've just set up a few, you know, games, various activities.
Absolutely, and that's the plan.
Fantastic.
That's the plan years going forward. Are you going to come and sing at the games?
Oh, I don't know yet. I'll have to have a look at my schedule. But
we'll write to you like the Prime Minister, and 3 days before you can confirm.
No. I'll know a long time before.
I'm with you.
I know the second half of this year is pretty busy for me, but certainly I would love to be there.
Well, either way, you're out here supporting it, Normie, and I really appreciate that, mate. You're a legend.
Thanks
Thank you,
very
sir.
much, Heston.
Much appreciated.
And come to the games.
One and only Normie Rowe, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know, Google it. Thanks, Normie.